Uh, Hey, lovelies, welcome back to another episode of To All the Girls Out There. Today we have one of the most important women like in my life. She's shaped the person that I am today and the woman that I'm growing into. The reason that I wanted to have her on is because like she's so caring and like just raw, intimate, and like she's just changed the lives of so many people. I don't even know if she knows that she's done that. But yeah, it's just one of the most open minded and like receptive people that I know. So I wanted to introduce Sally Probett. Woo!
Thank you. That's amazing.
Um, yeah, guys, if you hear me referring to her as Miss, I ask that you mind your business. Um, my teacher, so I can't actually call you. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to bring myself to call you,
No,
but
that's fine. I was the same with my form tutor.
yeah,
Until he died, I was like, no, I can't.
it feels so disrespectful. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's weird.
Like it's odd. But yeah, thank you, Miss, again.
It's okay.
And like when I say that, I like it's crazy because every time, you know when people say that saying of like, do you believe one person can change the world? Like whenever I think of that question, like you're one of the people that comes to my mind, like straight away. I don't know if you know, like, do you know that like you've made such a change?
Um, no, not really. I don't really think about it because if I think about it, then it becomes um like I don't know. It just gets a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm fine here. I'm sitting here like, don't cry, don't cry. But also like I genuinely do believe I was really fortunate that my form tutor was amazing when I was at school, and so like for me, it's like I'm just literally just doing my job,
Yeah. I get what you mean.
and I don't mean that in a horrible way, but like yeah, to me, it's that's what I'm here for. That's why I'm in the school. That's why I get paid. That's why I show up every day. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's not yeah. So that's how I think of it. I think
Yeah. Don't you shouldn't downplay it though, because it's like obviously I know there's different reasons of like why people do their job. Some people it's just for money and some people like like you said, like for yourself, like you feel like that's what you're supposed to do, but you don't have to do that. I feel like you go above and beyond and it's like sometimes it's like give yourself like what's the word? Like just allow yourself to feel like, at least I've accomplishing something, I'm doing something because what you've done for us and what you've done for so many people and you continue to do, not everyone does it and you don't have to go above and beyond the way you go above and beyond, I don't think, you know? So
yeah.
yeah, definitely, definitely appreciate that and I just want to say thank you.
No, thank you because it's really this is so cool. I'm like one of my forms has a podcast. She's so amazing. That's me. I'm like every female teacher. I'm like I'm sharing your podcast. I'm like
Oh,
come
thank
sit,
you.
tell your students.
So much. Thank you. No, because at first I was so scared, but now I'm like, you know what? Even when it comes to it, I'm just like, this is bigger than me. And it's like, I have to kind of tell myself, like, there's people who need it out there. And for me to just be like embarrassed or ashamed and stuff like that, I was just like, this is selfish of you, Fatima. Like, how many other people, there's people who might need it and like I just felt like I'm holding back. Like I have to think of it as like this is a bigger purpose. It's not just about me,
Yeah,
and that's why it's like cool. I might be scared, but I'm doing it scared because it's like if I know I have to do it, then like let me just go for it. If that makes sense.
yeah, 100%. But I think that's how I feel with my job.
Mm.
It's like I don't have to do these things, but if I don't, then I'm not being true to myself. Do you get what I mean? Like I find it really hard to do things like 50%.
Hmm.
And I've always been like that. Like my mum said, even when I was really little, I was always like that. If my heart wasn't in something, I'd just be like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. No, I get that, and that kind of actually links me like to the first question that I proper wanted to ask you was like when you were younger, your childhood, what was that like? Give us an insight.
Okay, so I'm very fortunate that I grew up obviously in Manor Park, but I have both my parents were teachers, and so it's me, my mum, my dad, my sister, my older sister, and we lived in Manor Park. My mum and dad still live there. So I was really fortunate in the sense that we lived quite a middle class upbringing. We were able to do things that maybe other people wouldn't have been able to do. We were taken to the theatre a lot. We were taken to, like, I played violin from when I was 7. So there was a lot of like cultural things that were happening when we were growing up, and experiences that we had. But then when I met other people, like when I went to school and became close friends with people from Manor Park and they didn't have that situation, I think that's kind of what drove me to be like, but what, like, I just didn't understand why. I was like, why would you not? Why would you not go to a museum? Why would you not go to the theatre? Why do you feel like you can't? And so that has been something that has been kind of built into me. Is my mum and dad were very open minded. They still are. They're very political. They're very politically active. They are, they're very much like, they believe in equality for everybody. They believe in justice for people. Like my mum casually, when about 5 years ago, we were at an art exhibition and she was just like, oh yes. And then, before your sister was born, we used to just, your dad would drive around and she had like an old, the Kellogg's variety cereal boxes, they're like little.
Yeah.
She
Those.
had one of those. She had one of those, and she painted it grey, and she put a knitting needle in it, and she pretended it was a walkie-talkie. And my dad would drive around with her in the car, and they would pretend they were undercover police. And so when like the NF were um, putting like people feces through people's letterboxes or spraying graffiti or doing swastika signs around Manor Park, my mum and my dad were there in this car pretending to be undercover police to scare off all the racist people. And, and I was just like, how are you saying that casually, mum? And she was like, well, because that's what you did. And I was like, no, it isn't though. There's like so many people who would not have done that. Yeah. And so I think that's where I get it from. Is like my parents have got a really strong sense of justice and what's right and what's wrong. I grew up atheist, which is they're both atheists. They both were raised Christian and then became atheist. And yeah, it's just, so I did live a really kind of privileged life in the sense of where I was in Manor Park. And then also growing up in the time that I grew up in, when like the 90s, it was a Labour government and they were putting so much money into like youth services and the arts and all of that. So like I played violin, but it was, everybody was able to play the violin in Newham. Like you could have lessons and it was like, I think it was like £30 for a whole term. And that included your lessons in school, your lessons on a Saturday morning from like 9 till 1, the instrument hire, the insurance, like everything. And it was 30 quid. So it's like things like that. And then when I went to the youth theatre at Theatre Royal, it was £2 a week. So the things that I did, it wasn't like it was really, really, really expensive. Whereas now, and then there was like the youth centre that by Little Ilford that ran all of their sessions, and then Community Links did stuff in the holidays, and so there was so much going on that was free or like subsidised or funded for children that there isn't anymore because it was all shut down then when the government changed and they got rid of all the youth services. So I think it was like it was a really special time in terms politically. Manor Park was like, I loved it. I loved growing up there because there was always stuff to do. So I was always really busy. And then I think being surrounded by like all my friends did not necessarily have that situation. So then I had a very strong understanding of what it's like to, one of my best friends is her mum's a single mum. She shared a bedroom with her two sisters. So there were three of them in one bedroom, and then her mum had the other bedroom. And that was like my best mate. So it wasn't like I wasn't aware of the other things that were happening, but it also, we didn't care. Like we just, that was how she lived and that was how I lived, and nobody really cared and nobody made any judgments based on it. And it's only when you went to uni and I met other people who were like proper posh, and then I was like, wow, this is why. I'm talking about like what our experiences were like at school at Little Ilford, which were vastly different to people that went to other schools where there weren't police there every day. Do you know what I mean? People didn't get in trouble with the law or hit over the head with a shovel or smashed over the head with a glass bottle or that wasn't their normality. And we didn't realize how abnormal it was until we met other people that hadn't lived that. And we were like, oh, so that's not how everybody grows up. Because you don't realize, isn't it, when you're growing up in it. And then as soon as you move out of it and you meet other people and you're like, oh, hang on a minute, something. wait. And like, I remember when I went to college and one of my friends didn't know what Diwali was. And I was like, how do you not know what Diwali is? Like, you live 20 minutes away from me, and I've been learning about that since I was in primary school. So how do you not know? But he was just like, there were three Asian kids at my school, and I was like, what? And it's just that whole thing of like suddenly realizing that Newham is not like everywhere else in the country.
It's crazy, 100%. Because I think that's something that I noticed in sixth form. Because like there was like an incident where like some people were just so uneducated as to like how other cultures worked, or like even like Islam and how things worked. And it was just like, it's crazy how someone's mind can think so differently, like,
Yeah,
and I just think it was such a shock to the system, because it's just like, wow, your first mind like was to go for like danger or threat or assume something, when it's like, when it comes to us being around Muslims or being around like people of a certain demographic, you don't automatically go to threat or danger. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah, yeah,
it's just like, and it was just shocking, because it was like, cool, I know that on the media certain things are portrayed something, but are portrayed certain ways, sorry, but it's just like, you will see a person and it's like, wow, you actually think like that, like you believe that. It's crazy. And
it
it's
is crazy.
funny because in that moment, I remember in the moment when that stuff was going on, I was just thinking back to how you, like, how when I was in school with you, you actually, I think the thing is with you is you actually take the time to educate yourself. And like, if you don't know something, it's like you're willing to try to understand and willing to learn. And I
Yeah,
think it's so, it's so different, because there's so many people who is like, they think that they're woke because you're hopping on trends or you're doing stuff. No, I'm not even trying to throw shade here, but like, they think that they're woke because, like, I don't know, you might
they
post,
put a black square on their Instagram.
yeah, like hashtag Black Lives Matter, BLM, and like, and it's like, but you fail to educate yourself and actually understand. And I'm not gonna like penalize everyone, because again, like, your upbringing might be different. You might have grown outside of London, you're not been around things, but I think that you should definitely take the time to understand different cultures and different ways of life, especially being in school. And if you're going to work in a school where like everyone is of a different like demographic,
Yeah,
it's important to like sit there and try to understand others despite you being different, if that makes sense. You don't have to be
yeah.
the same thing, but just taking the steps to understand. And it's just like, well, I wish there were more people like you in the world, but hey ho.
Thanks. I think I think part of it, is growing up in Manor Park, and like I was the minority, which that was my reality, and I didn't care. Like I was, as in terms of my class, in terms of my friend group, in terms of the people that I knew, I was a minority. But then obviously it's different because on TV and in the media, all I'm seeing is white people. So there was never like, I guess it's not the same as when you grow up and you're like you're the global majority, but you're a minority in terms of the country that you live in. But then you're not seeing any representation on TV, media, film, or if you are, it's all very negative. And I think just all of those things was like, it didn't make any sense to me. And then I remember speaking to Laddie about it a couple of not that long ago, before Christmas, and just like, there are people who are academically woke in terms of they've read the books, they've done the research, they've really tried to educate themselves, and I have so much respect for that. But if you also don't then have experience of people who have lived it, you're only 50% of the way there, because it's also like, if you can read all the books that you want, but if your whole network is all people that are in the same kind of bubble as you, class bubble, race bubble, religion bubble, whatever it is, ethnicity, community, whatever, if that's a really small circle, it doesn't matter how much you read, you're not going to really know in depth the reality of it, because your take on things is going to be different to, I don't know, some like my best friend who's also black and a woman, but pardon me, not a Muslim and same age as me. So then everybody's got their own like lived experiences and their own things that have happened to them that have built whatever it is that their story. And if you don't have any first-hand experience, or you don't have any, maybe it's not first-hand, like other people that you can talk to about it, then you kind of need to keep yourself in check. And I think that's something that I really learned being friends with Laddie, because there'd be times where I'd get really on my moral high horse and I'd be like, this is unfair because this is, and he was like, I don't want you to fight that battle. It's like, I don't need you to be that angry. I don't need you to be angry and defiant right now. I need you to be quiet, and I need you to just get it over with. I don't want you to, do you know what I mean? Like in certain situations where um he doesn't want me to, he's like, I don't want you to have that argument on my behalf because I just want it to be done. And it's really hard because it's like, but there's an injustice here. And so my instinct is to be like, I want to fight that. But then I have to also respect that it's not my fight. And the person whose fight it is doesn't want me to fight it. And as hard as that is, you have to go, okay, cool. I respect that. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I was fuming, but you have to keep your mouth shut. And I think there's a real tendency in like some white people, and this isn't me throwing shade. Like we want to do so much, and it's like, but we forget to listen to the people that it's affecting. So we think we're doing all this, like, I need to make sure that I'm doing this, and I need to make, and it's like, yeah, but have you spoken to the people that are affected by this, because they might not want you to do that, and that's really difficult because you want to push for things and you want things to change, but then if there's a person sitting there going, please don't do that, you have to listen to that and not just go, okay, cool, I'm going to keep channeling through with this, even though that person doesn't want me to do it.
That is so true. You've actually taught me something there, because I feel like when there's something that I get, like, I can be very like, I don't really care, but when there's something that I'm passionate about, I feel like that's when like the fire comes, and it's
Yeah.
like I've never really thought about it as in like, oh, maybe they actually don't want you to say anything for them. Um, but I sometimes it's just like, how can you not? You know?
Yeah, no, I know. And also, you know what my face is like. Like, even if I don't say it, it's written all
Yeah.
over my
No, I get that. I get that. Oh my gosh, no, I actually felt like I've learned something now. But I also wanted to ask, like, growing up, what do you feel like were some of the things that you might have had to, or was there anything that you felt like you had to navigate or like carry or deal with that people might not necessarily know or like see that you had to deal with?
face. I haven't got a diagnosis, but I'm 99% sure that I'm autistic. And that has come about from studying it. So I did a lot of academic research into it. I did a postgraduate into it through because of working at Little Ilford and specialising in SEN. And then the more that I found out, the more that I researched, the more that I was like, this is ringing a lot of bells. And I think then when I think back to things that I struggled with when I was growing up, a lot of it is really explained by this idea of potentially being autistic, and very much like not really being able to navigate certain situations. And like I found it, so like I would I have conversations with myself in my head, and I'll practice conversations that I have to have with other people. I had selective mutism as well, which means that there were times where I would try to speak and I just physically couldn't, which is probably, people would be, because I think people think that I'm really confident because I'm a drama teacher, so they were like, oh, you're going to be really confident, but actually I am confident when I'm teaching, but if you put me in a room of people that I don't know, I will not speak to anyone. I'll just mind my business and stand in the corner and be really quiet, because I don't really know how to have those conversations. I don't really like small talk. So like I find it really weird. And like people are like, how are you? Yeah, I'm okay. And like when you come back after Christmas and everyone's like, how was
Yeah.
your holiday? And you have to have all of those conversations. Like none of us care. Like, why are we having this conversation? Because none of us really care. Um, so I think there was a lot of that. But then I was at Miss Chavett's house actually on Saturday. I was talking to her, and she was saying, like, because obviously she taught, well, she didn't teach me, but she was a teacher when I was at school, and she was like, the thing with you, Sally, is you managed to navigate, like, you weren't in any group, but you were in all the groups. Like everyone had respect for you. She said, but you never, like, I was clever, but I was never somebody that like the other people didn't like because I was clever, a bit like you. And I think part of that was like, um, I was just honest. So I couldn't not be honest about what was going on. So I find it really hard to like buy into all the like, oh, wear this because then you can be, or speak like this so that you could, or dress like that, or speak to that, like all of that. kind of craziness. I just couldn't be bothered with, and I didn't really understand the point of it. And I think at the time it was quite difficult. I was quite like I was really stroppy at school, really stroppy. I was really argumentative. I was really argumentative. I was really stroppy. I was really, yeah, I was really like, no.
I'm trying to
Um,
imagine that.
I
Oh
was
my
really
god.
defensive. I was really defensive. I was bullied a lot. I was really defensive. So, but then I had like really, really good friends. So, and I've always had really good friends because me and my sister never got on at all. So like, because we didn't start getting on until about five, no, maybe more than that, about 6 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. Um, but like at school, she just acted like I didn't exist at all. And so I was like, cool. So I kind of had to have really good friendships. And I'm grateful for that now because my friendships are like the thing that kind of holds me together. And they're the people that have like built me, I guess, over the years. Um, I've forgotten what your question was. What did I struggle with? So yeah, I sort of struggled with, I didn't really fit in with anybody until I found like the drama people. And then I sort of, that was when I found my tribe was drama and theatre and Chadwick always calls it the freaks and geeks. And like, I'm definitely in that little group of like the non-conformists, the people that don't really buy into the like the trends or the social normative, all of that. But I just, if I believed in something, I was like, you're not, I don't care. You're not, I will fall out with you over this. That's fine because I'm not changing my opinion. So I wasn't very easily led. Like there was no, I didn't really struggle with peer pressure because I didn't buy into it, if that makes sense. Um, and sometimes that meant that people then didn't want anything to do with me, which was fine. Um, Obviously, it hurt at the time, but retrospectively, it's like what it does is it weeds out the people that you don't need to be around because it weeds out all the fake people. Um, but when you're going through that, it's really difficult because, like, I remember having a group of friends, and then we went away to Paris for a school French trip, and then they didn't realize I was in the bathroom, and they were just slagging me off and I could hear everything that they were saying. And these are people that I was sharing a room with and I thought with my friends. And then I was like, wow. And so I just locked myself in the bathroom and slept on the floor in the bathroom for the whole time that we were there. Um, but the reality of that was, it was like at the time that it happened, it was awful. But then within like 2 weeks, I was over it. And it was like, okay, well, these are people that I can't trust. So, and then it kind of, I think that's sort of been something that I've lived through for a lot of my life. And in the end, I ended up becoming really like I had Antoinette, who was like my best friend. She still is. But other than that, most of my friends were boys, because it was just easier. I got on with them better because it was honest and there wasn't the like duplicitous nature of like, well, I'm not talking to you because you're talking to, and I can't, I just, it's just too
I get
much.
what you
And I know
mean.
you can relate to that because you're exactly the same. You're just like,
I
I
used,
can't.
oh my days. And you know what is so funny? Because it's like, I don't know. Because even for me, I remember in secondary school, friendships was so difficult. I think like what made it hard for me was like, I just, not, I kind of like just, I just didn't have the same mindset as a lot of people.
Yeah,
Like, because I was a bit like more mature than others, sometimes it was just like, we got along on some bases, and then there was others where it was just like, I just didn't care. Like it was just a bit like ugh. And so I felt like through the course of secondary school I just kept like changing friendships because it was like there was something that I was searching for that I wasn't getting.
yeah,
And then I remember like it kind of like just got to a point where I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm just gonna be the friend that I want to have. And then that's kind of what happened. And by the time year 11 came, I was kind of like, I didn't have a specific friendship group, but kind of just
flitted about.
everyone. But
Yeah,
I still like had still kind of like a close knit set of people, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
but yeah, but and I keep telling my sisters because even my sisters kind of like they're going through it where it's just like they're just like, oh, I can't like with friendships and like they be struggling or like they want new friendships and stuff like that or like fall out with certain people and I have to kind of remind them the same thing that you said like at the end of the day when you have strong values and when you're true to yourself that's what's going to happen. You're not going to have as many people around you, but it cuts out the fake people. And
yeah,
you have to remind yourself like these people like not even to draw people out or bring people down, but unfortunately, like we live where people try to please others, and with that becomes being fake, because it's
Mm.
like you're not being authentic to yourself, which means you can't be authentic to others. It's like everything they do is for like impressing people, but you can't impress everyone, because if you impress everyone, then technically like you're being deceitful, because it's like if you like this thing and the other person doesn't like that, but then you're going to one person saying you like this and then lying to the other person, like where's the integrity in that?
But also, it's exhausting.
Yeah, it is very.
Like, it's just too much. Like, I just can't be bothered with it.
I get that, and that's why I like tell my sister. Cause I know it can be lonely. I know it can be lonely, but you just like you would rather just the peace than to just try to be friends with everyone and have everyone and people who are just gonna drain you and hold you back.
I think it's really hard at secondary school because you don't have any choices to who you're with for the whole
Yeah,
day because you're in a teaching group and you're just in this group. So you kind of have to be friends with somebody because otherwise, like you're going to be miserable, right? Getting through a 6 hour day at school with nobody that you talk to. So I think it's really difficult. Like, um, I'm really fortunate that I still speak to a lot of people that I was at secondary school with. I only speak to one person I was at college with properly, like I see him regularly, and then one person I went to uni with that I see regularly, and then there's the other people that I went to uni or college with, like I don't not speak to them, but I don't see them regularly, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Um, and then it's so hard because when you're in it, when you're a teenager, everything feels so like this is the most important thing, and then also the world is telling you this is really important. Your GCSEs are the most important exams you're going to have. These are the best years of your life. But everybody's telling you all of that. And so then there's this huge amount of pressure on teenagers to be having this amazing time. But actually, the reality is it's really hard. Like, you couldn't pay me to be a teenager again. You really, really couldn't. And I loved it. I had a great time at school.
yeah, yeah.
If you then put me in as a teen, are you kidding me? With social media and phones, I'm so grateful we had like a Nokia whatever it was that you could play Snake on, and that was the extent of apart from when there was a one to one. So there's an old phone network that used to eventually, if you go back far enough, it's what T-Mobile became. It was called one to one, and they had this scam where you could call the voicemail directly. So and it wouldn't cost you anything. So what people were doing was just calling the voicemail, leaving voicemail messages, and then that was how we'd communicate. Because otherwise you'd have to pay like 50p for a text or whatever. Because obviously WhatsApp didn't exist. And that. So everyone was doing what was called the voicemail scam. So that was like how we were communicating. It's crazy on these like phones that didn't do anything. And then it was really exciting when like a phone had a camera on it, but that wasn't until I was at uni.
That's
And now,
uni.
yeah, yeah, all right, I'm that old.
Oh, sorry, sorry. Sorry.
I'm joking, it's fine. But like, I'm really grateful for that because I just can't even begin to imagine what pressure is on young people today. And obviously, I see it, but I'm not living that. To be a teenager, to have all of that, like it is carnage. When you're a teenager, it is chaos. It doesn't matter how good your life is, doesn't matter how privileged you are, doesn't matter how good stable your home life is, whatever. Just being a teenager is chaos because biologically everything is going all over the place. To then add into that, people can message you 100% of the time. You can never switch off. People have got your contact details. People can take photos of you when you're not looking. People can share those photos globally. Like it, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. And it's just like the pressure to be a certain way or to have a certain amount of friends or to be popular. You can't like that's what your brains are programmed to do as a teenager is to fit in. So then to then try and get people to understand, don't worry about it. And also time feels so much slower when you're younger. It's really hard. Like I genuinely I I think that's one of the reasons I love working with teenagers because I'm like, you've got it really hard. Like this is really tough. There are other things that are tough when you become an adult, like bills and all of that kind of craziness, and it's just rubbish. And like, I remember talking to one class and they, about Christmas presents, and they were like, I'm going to ask for this, I'm going to ask for this. They were like, Miss, what you asked for? And I was like, I want a new set of flexi chopping boards. And they were like, Miss, that's really boring. I was like, you wait until you're in your 30s and then come and tell me that chopping boards are boring. But it's like the stresses are different for adults and for teenagers. But honestly, I don't resent what teenagers have to go through now because it's crazy.
Yeah, it's in, and it's like I feel like people need to cut like teenagers some slack as well, because
Yeah,
it's like everyone like tries to blame, oh, the new generation, this and that, and I'm just thinking like, you know what it is like, they have a different set of problems now. Like everything has changed, and it's not to say they might not have the same issues that you had. Like you might have had some things hard that they don't have hard, fine, but like now, like social media is crazy, and it's just like, even when I think back to when I was in school, I think just thank God, like my parents were able to just have a lot of conversations with me and like kind of like just help to uplift me in like my confidence and my way of going about things, because it's just so easy to like compare yourself and
mm,
like wanting to even look look a certain way or come across a certain way, because even when there's certain things like, for example, even when it comes to like going to school, for me, like I wouldn't want to send like my child to school, and I don't think you need to wear like immense amount of makeup, especially at the age of like 13, 12, whatever.
mm,
But then with social media, you can't just sit here and be like, oh my gosh, don't wear, like, it's not as easy as just saying you don't need to be wearing makeup, because there's so much that comes around it now. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
I wish it was as simple as, oh, like you're too young, you don't need it. But like when you go online now and you see your age mate is doing that, your age mate is wearing lashes and she's got lip gloss on and she's getting the attention and I look like this, you start comparing yourself and you start
yeah,
like, and it affects, and then it's like adults just easily look at it as like, oh, they're just, ugh, I don't know, everyone wants to grow up too fast and da da da. Da. And it's like, I understand where you are coming from, but this is what we're actually dealing with. Like outside of like this real life, there is a world inside that phone and inside that laptop or whatever it is that girls and guys that are looking at and comparing themselves to, and
yeah.
that is dictating how they come across in this outside world. It's a lot deeper than just, oh, you're too young, or oh, this and that, and and I just wish.
But also, it's like it's adults that are also buying into it. So there's adults saying you don't need to, but they've got a full face of makeup on and they wouldn't dare put a picture of themselves on without a filter. And you're like, okay, but like I find it really hypocritical. One of the reasons I don't wear makeup to work is because I find it really hypocritical to be sat there with a full face of makeup on and being like, girl, take your makeup off. Because like, then why am I wearing it? Do you know what I mean? Even though, some days I need it because I'm knackered and I look awful. But it's like, that's the reality of life, isn't it? I don't know. I think practice what you preach, but a lot of people don't do that. So,
Yeah, but also it's like there's certain things that come at a certain point in time, innit? Like
yeah,
of your life. So I think even as an adult, if you're sat there as an adult wearing makeup and you're telling a child not to wear makeup, it's slightly different when it's like because you're an adult, if that makes sense. And it's like
yeah, it's slightly different.
there's times, even when it comes to like certain types of clothing, like there's like an age where it gets to like, okay, you can wear this now, because it's, I think it's just more about protection when it comes to that. I think more so because when you wear certain stuff, when you have certain makeup, all of that, it naturally, especially as a young person, it can make you look older. And I think it comes from a place of like, you want to protect
Yeah,
a child and let them like be a child. Does that make sense? Like what I'm trying to say? Like
yeah,
you're a child,
100%.
and it's important that like you stay safe. You don't, people like, unfortunately, the world that we live in is not, there's crazy people, you
But
know?
that's why when I set up Girls Club and I forced you all to come. And one of the reasons was because I was, I can't remember, it was a year 7 lesson or a year 9 lesson. And I said, put your hands up if you've ever, I think I got everyone to close their eyes. And I was like, put your hands up if you've ever been, um, like catcalled. I didn't use the term catcalled, but whatever it was. And like all the girls put their hand up and not one boy did. And I was like, this is crazy. And it was like year 8 or year 9. And you think people have not even got to year 9. They've not even got to 14, 15. And already they're being sexualized. This is nuts. This is and the boys were just like, what? Because they've got no idea that it's happening, which obviously it's not their fault that they've got no, that it's not happening to them. So why would they know? But that was the whole reason that and then also like girls calling out other girls, and just, it's like, if we want people to stop using these words against us, then we've got to stop using them to each other, because it's, it starts with, it starts there. It starts with like, you can't be continually buying it. And it's all been, it's all misogyny from society that then we've inherited and we've grown up with. Like the classic thing of, you're going out with somebody, they cheat on you with someone else, and you take it out on that person. It's like, no, the person that cheated is the person who you need to have the conversation with. But we've been led to believe that the problem is the extra person. And it's like, no, it isn't. Because women have had to fight to get into rooms. If there's another woman in the room, they're a competition. It's like, no, they're not your competition. Like, build up. And Gina is one of the people that, like, she just, I remember going to one of her talks. You met her, innit? She came in to Girls Club. Yeah. She did a talk ages ago now for Gymshark I went to. And she said, because she was one of the first, like, really successful black female PTs that blew up on Instagram in England or in London or whatever. And someone said to her, "Oh, you need to stop bringing other people with you because there's only limited space." And she thought about it, and she's like, she didn't want to do that, but that was what professionally she was being advised to do. And then she went into a supermarket. I'm really paraphrasing, so I could be completely butchering this. Sorry, Gina, if you're listening. She went into a supermarket and she was getting some bread, and she looked up and she was like, "Do you know how many different types of white bread there is?" She's like, and then I thought, okay, if we can have 20 different versions of a white sliced loaf of bread, why can't we have more than one person that is a black woman that is a fitness instructor on Instagram? And so she was like, we need to be more like bread. We need to think more like bread. And it's so true. It's like, she said, even with cereal as well, she's like, you go in and there's the shop brand version of cornflakes, there's Kellogg's cornflakes, there's someone else's version of cornflakes, and that's just cornflakes. So then we're being told that we have to, as women, we have to protect our space and not share it with people because there's only enough room for one of us. It's like, there's 20 different types of white bread. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I get that.
And I was just like, it's so true. And like, it's like similar to what you were saying about your podcast of like, you're putting it out there because somebody might want to listen to it, somebody might need it. And that it might be that you then get millions of followers and you get a global follower, whatever. But it could be that it's just, if it's changed one person's life, then that's an amazing thing. And I think that's sort of how I feel about teachers. Like, if I even impact one person, then I've done my job.
Percent. And I feel like everyone is gonna touch someone differently. Like that's the
Mm.
whole thing. Like with like speaking to women, because it's like I can sit here and have a message, and I might not be able to relay it to all the girls. It might not hit certain like girls, whereas like you might have a message and like you can say something and it's gonna hit them differently to how I would
Yeah,
say it. So I feel like
yeah.
everyone we should never feel like, oh, there's already someone doing this or someone doing this. Like you have your own voice and it's gonna be different. You have your own
Yeah,
set unique path that's gonna be different and have a different impact on people. And
I
even
think
yeah, you're saying.
I was just going to say, as a teacher, a lot of the time for ages, I used to have kids go, "Oh, Miss, they said what I was going to say," and then my response now is always, "Is it exactly the same word for word?" And they're like, "No," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. Still say what you were going to say," because there might be a small bit. It might be a same point. You might be saying the same overall point, but the way that you phrase it is different. And your phrasing might mean that this person that didn't understand that person now gets it. Or it might trigger a different thought that then helps someone else. Or it might make us go off in a different tangent about something else. So it's always worth saying your thing, even if you think someone's already said it. It's always worth, because unless it's literally a script and you're literally word for word, oh no, they've literally said word for word what I was going to say. Like you said, there's always another little nugget that someone is going to add on to that is going to be different to what that person said.
100%. And that is kind of like, because even with me, there's so many ideas. Sometimes I'll be listening to someone, or like someone will come up with an idea, and I'm like, oh, like they've come up with the same. Like I was gonna do the same thing, but it's exactly like what you said. It's like if it's not exactly the same, like word for word, bar for bar. If it's not exactly the same, then there's always going to be a difference. Even like sometimes when I listen, when I listen to like podcasts or I listen to certain people speaking, there's something that I would have heard like 700 times before. I've heard it so many times before, but one person says it and somehow it clicks. Like it
Yeah,
so differently to me. It's like I've heard this before, but like the way you said it, just like just hit differently. I don't know. It's just
yeah.
weird.
And
Yeah.
then that's when you get the looks. That's like when when you have them. It's normally Mr. O, and it's like he said something to me, and I've not listened, or I have listened, but I've been like whatever, and just disregarded it. And then someone else calls it out, and then I go back and I'm like, oh, this person said this, and he's like, oh, did they? And I'm like,
Oh, that must be so frustrating for him.
it's okay. It happens mutually. There's mutual times where like been times where he's been like, I owe you an apology because you know how you told me I shouldn't do this because of that. Well, I did it, and then that happened, and I'm like, I'm saying nothing.
Oh, okay. We're gonna move on to a little section that I have. It's called giving her flowers. So like
Okay.
it kind of like what we were talking about how like women like we've been accustomed to put ourselves against each other and stuff, and like how yeah, we've just been put against each other. So I just wanted to have a section where dedicated to just giving whether it's one woman or a set of women like acknowledgement or homage and just appreciation. So if there's one woman or multiple women in this moment that you just want to show appreciation to or for.
Yeah. So obviously my mum, because my mum's a legend, and I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for my mum, and her mum, because that's why my mum is like, yeah, Mrs. Probett, and then her mum, who is Mrs. Mansell, and the reason my mum is the way she is because of her mum. But then also, yeah, Antoinette, my best friend, because she calls me out on stuff still to this day, um, and she's the person that. So when we became friends, she came round to my house and she was like, "Why is all your clothing black or navy?" And then she just forced me into wearing colours. So she was the first person that forced me into like actually caring about what I wore. And there's other things as well. She's done loads more than just that superficialness. But yeah, I remember that significantly. She also tried to braid my hair at one point. It was hilarious. But so she's like my day one. And then Miss Chadwick, because she's formed her and my drama teacher actually, who's Miss Piper, but she was Miss Angle one and she was my drama teacher. So I had the same drama teacher for 5 years. And then when she left, I took her job because she emigrated to Australia, and that's how I got the job at Little Ilford because they needed another drama teacher. So I took my old drama teacher's job. The way that yeah, and the way that I teach is like an amalgamation of Whoopi Goldberg from Sister Act 2, didn't realise until I rewatched it, and I was like, right, that's really similar to how I talk to people. My drama teacher and Miss Chadwick. So in terms of my teaching, I can't not like I wouldn't be the teacher that I am if it wasn't for Miss Chadwick, particularly because she trained me. Um, and then yeah, there's so many women. There's so many women in my life that I need to like I'm so appreciative of. But those are the otherwise I'll just be here forever. But those are my core ones, I think.
Oh, I love that. That is so sweet. I think you've said before that you took your old drama teacher's job, but I don't remember. That's actually so cute. That is so. I love.
It was honestly like it was so bizarre because I was working at another school and I hated it. I
Yeah.
loved the students were great, but I hated the school. And I went in to speak to the head because there was staff being racist towards the students, and the students had reported it to me. So I reported to the head, and he was like, "Yeah, but I don't want to make my staff uncomfortable, so I'm not going to do anything." So I was like, "Okay," and here's my resignation because I was like, I can't work somewhere where they're not going to do anything about the structural racism in the school, and he's just going to let it happen.
Yeah.
And then literally I was bricking it because I was like, oh my God, I've just resigned and I don't have a job. What
Yeah.
am I going to do? And then either that day or the next day, Miss Chadwick messaged me and was like, there's a job coming up at Little Ilford. Dee's moving to Australia. Please apply. And I was like,
Wow.
that's crazy.
This
And
is.
obviously, this is when I was atheist. So I was just like, oh my God, what a coincidence. And now I'm like, of course, because you know, as my other friend Rena, actually, I shout at her as well. 'Cause she's like, do you remember Miss Hart used to teach music at Little Orchard?
Yeah,
She's a
yeah,
singing
yeah, yeah,
teacher.
yeah.
Yeah,
Is
so
she
she
still?
also, no, she's now professional singer songwriter. But
Hey.
I'm gonna shout her out as well because she every week she's someone that like we have weekly check-ins with each other, and it's like
Oh,
I don't know, she's just her energy is just like unbelievable,
mm,
and she says things and then they happen,
yeah,
and it just I feel like she's got really good energy, and I feel like yeah, I'm grateful that I have her in my life.
yeah. She's a sweetie pie as well. She was really
She's
good.
wicked. She'd be a good person for you to talk to actually,
Oh, is it?
because
Oh,
she's done loads of stuff. Yeah, yeah,
thank you. We'll speak about that like after.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, thank you, Miss. That was actually that was so cute and like heartfelt.
yeah.
Came to you like you was like, yes, I know who I want to speak about. Da, 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 da. Love that. I also wanted to ask about like a bit of anxiety because I know it's something that I was struggling with as it got to like year 11, and like you helped me a lot with that. But I used to, my anxiety attacks were real back then. It's definitely calmed down a lot, thank God. But yeah, you helped me a lot, and I just wanted to know, like, from your perspective and like your understanding, how it has not helped, shaped you over the years.
So I got diagnosed with anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder, OCD, and complex post-traumatic stress disorder when you guys were in, no, when before you started school, so like 2015 maybe. Yeah, and there was a part of it that was like a relief because I hadn't realized how many years I've lived feeling really anxious.
Hmm.
And then there was also a part of it that was like because the anxiety and and depression. The anxiety and the depression was diagnosed really, really, really early. And then it wasn't until I had like my third lot of therapy that then um there was this auntie and she was just like she asked me something and I was talking about my experience and she was like, can you feel this for me? And then she was like, yeah, you've got CPTSD and you've also got OCD. So we can't combat the anxiety until we've just like sorted out those things. Um so I think there's a real kind of there's often girls get diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and actually there's something else that is going on that you never get to the bottom of because it's being masked by the anxiety and the depression. And I think it's really difficult because people don't really understand. And it's the what ifs. For me, it's the what ifs. It's the constant. What if this happens and then 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 it spirals into something catastrophic. And then it's not been as bad recently, but there are times where I feel like it's I don't know, I'm really being inarticulate. But I feel like it's something that um it's like being an alcoholic in a sense of I've never been an alcoholic, but it's that thing of like you're always going to live with it. So there's always going to be the opportunity or the potential for your brain to go back into that state.
Yeah.
And so it's about like I have people that I know that I can message and I'm just like I'm having I'm on 20%. And then they'll be like, okay, cool. And I don't need to say anything other than that. I just need to be like, I'm on Twitter, or I've got no spoons left. I don't know if you've known about the spoon theory, but it's originally for people that have got like oh my gosh, what's it called? Like chronic illnesses.
Okay.
But the idea is that say you have like you have 5 spoons a day, and some things take away your spoons, so they take away your energy, and some things give you the spoons
Okay.
and they give you back the energy. And sometimes it's like I don't have so there'll be times where I'll say to like so Mr. O, for example, is one of the people that he's lived through it with me for a really long time. So I'll be like,
Mm.
I don't have the spoons for that, and he's like, okay, cool, and then he knows to back off.
Okay.
Or like my old housemate, she was really really good as well. So there are people that I just need to message, and I think it's having an acknowledgement that when the things get really really bad and the thoughts get really bad and you feel I used to always feel like or my thing is I always feel like I'm a burden, I'm a problem, and I'm going to ruin everybody's life. And so then when I get into that state or I feel like I'm tipping into that state, I've promised certain people that I have to message them. And that's helped because what would happen before would be that the thoughts in my head would tell me not to message anyone because I'm being a burden.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to like get past that. And there was a really, really good autobiography by a comedian called Susan Calman that I listened to, and she calls it her anxiety the crab of doom. And she's like, by call it like you give it a name and you call it that, and then you suddenly you externalize it to your own thoughts. So then you're like, oh, that's not me speaking, that's the crab of doom. And
Ah,
so
good way of.
she had the crab of doom, and I had the worm of paranoia, which is like because I don't like things that don't have legs, and mine is all paranoid. It's not. I don't have doom and gloom. I have like paranoia that I've done something wrong, or I'm going to do something wrong, or it's going to be a catastrophe. That's what mine is, less so than like, oh, it's just really sad, or I don't really understand. Yeah. So for me, it was like the worm of paranoia. And so I'd like, if I'd message my old housemate and she would just message back a little worm, and I'd be like, okay, cool. That's not my rational brain talking. That's the worm talking. So I can ignore that. And I think having people that can help you with that, because at times you can feel like I remember having conversations with Mr. O and being like, I feel like 90% of me is this anxious mess. He's like, it's not, it's like 10% of you. It's just in this moment, you feel like it's 90%, but it isn't. It's only 10%. It's just 90% at this moment in time. But that makes up 10% of your life, if that
Mm,
makes sense.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so things like that, where like having someone that can differentiate it for you, and it's really hard because then the worm of paranoia doesn't want you to believe that. And they're so loud. Those voices can be so loud. And so sometimes you have to just let them come in, and you have to be like, okay, you can come and sit in the room. Because if you don't let them sit in the room, I've now turned it into a person, but if you don't let them come and sit in the room, they're just going to keep banging on the door.
yeah,
But if you just open the door, it's like a cat trying to break in. It's like if you open the door and let them in, then they'll just sit in the corner quietly and they mind their business. But if you don't let them in the door, they're just going to keep banging, 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 banging. And then that's going to be more annoying or more detrimental than if you just open the door. Does that make any sense?
no, no, yeah, 100%. No, because I feel like everyone, because even sometimes I'll be speaking to my friends who like deal with anxiety and stuff, and it's just like everyone has different, like the things that kind of trigger it, and
Mm,
like their ways of dealing it. Like I think even with me because I would find that my anxiety would usually come after I've done something because
mm,
I wanted to control my image, like how I looked. And it was like, I have to be this certain way. And it came from like trying to be perfect. Like I always say, Little Miss Perfect, because
yeah,
like, I tried to be perfect. And it was just like, if I did something and I felt like it didn't fit the person that I wanted to be or the way that I wanted to come across, that was it. And it
yeah,
was like I will I'll keep thinking, and like to the point where it was like, and for me, it wouldn't be like a panic attack, like, but it would be like I will feel sick, physically sick for like hours, like I can't sleep properly, like, and I'm just sick, and like there would be days, and I would like, and until like I could like vomit to release that out, I would not, I wouldn't
yeah,
be in peace,
yeah,
like, and
yeah.
it was just like, but then it was a
And
thing.
it never goes. It's like even if you're distracted, it's still there in the back of your mind.
It was
Yeah,
it
it's
was
crazy.
like thank God like I there was some time like recently where I almost felt it coming. I don't know how I pushed it down, but I somehow managed to. But I just like but back then it was just like it was so hard, and it was just like it was new to me at the time as well because I had never proper gone through it. But then also I think I thankfully had like my dad was very helpful because I think he also had that.
Mm,
He was very helpful in like just like when he was speaking to me and like just encouraging me with it and just trying to help me to navigate it. But it was just like, it was such a scary point. Like, it was just so scary. But everyone has their different ways of dealing with it and just making sure that you have the right people around you, especially that. Because I remember when I had my first ever, like, anxiety attack where I just physically felt sick and I just felt like I wasn't in the real world. Um, I, I was speaking to one of my friends and like I don't think that friend understood at the time. And
Mhm.
so this belief that I had in my head, they were actually low-key reinforcing it to me.
Yeah.
And like it just made me feel even worse. And like I don't think they knew that that's what I was going through. But in the moment, I was just like panicking. I was like, oh, I look like this, I appear this way, da da da. And then they were just kind of like, just reinforcing it. And then it's just like, when I think now, like to the set of people I have, it's just like that is so important and people underestimate it because it's just like having people who understand that and like get you and are uplifting you is so important because had I had like kept that, like I feel like I would have still been in the same position where it's just like more consistent because you don't have anyone to kind of like help you navigate that,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
I think with stuff like anxiety or depression or any mental health stuff, having somebody that does understand it is so helpful
Hmm.
because people that don't understand it, and it's horrible. It's like a double-edged sword because you're like, I don't ever want anyone to feel how I felt
Yeah.
because it's awful. So I wouldn't wish that on anyone. But then if you find somebody that does know what that is like, it's just so helpful because what they're not going to do is try and problem solve. And I think sometimes, particularly for me with anxiety, it was like, what do I need to do? What do I need to, how do I, what can I, there isn't, there isn't a solution to this. Well, what has caused it? And it's like, I don't know what has caused it. Well, you must know what's caused it. It's like, I don't know what, if I knew then I would work on what, and it's like, sometimes that becomes really difficult because then it, like you said, it perpetuates this feeling of like, I'm being a burden because I don't know what the problem is and I don't know how to stop it and I don't have a solution and I don't know what caused it and I don't know what the trigger was and I don't have any answer to this person's questions. And so then I'm a failure even more and I'm being a burden, so I need to keep it to myself.
Yeah.
But then if you meet somebody that, and this is fortunate for me, my old housemate, she had struggled with anxiety. And it was one of the reasons that we got on. And so then with her, it was very much like, I feel like this. And she'd be like, okay, cool. Do you want this? Like, do you want to sit and watch a film? Do you want me to leave you alone? Or, okay, I'm going to sit here. Because sometimes it gets to the point where I'm not able to make a decision.
Hmm.
And so it's like, please don't ask me what I need because I don't know what I need. So then what I need is I need someone to tell me what to do because I can't make the right decision. So I need someone to not try and like be like, do you think it would be a good idea to have a sandwich now? They need to just be like, I've made you a sandwich, you need to eat it.
Hmm.
Or I'm going to sit here and we're going to watch this. And I'm like, okay, cool. And it's like I need someone else to take the wheel because can't in that moment I don't have the capacity to make decisions about the things that I need to make decisions about. And so because I don't have the capacity to, I just won't. So there were often times where like I just wouldn't eat because I'd be like, I don't know how to make a decision on what to eat. And I need someone to just make that decision
So when
because
you're, oh sorry, yeah,
no, it's okay. I was just gonna say, because it's, it's like another thing where I'm like, what if I get it wrong?
okay,
Which goes back to that thing of you saying about the perfectionism. Like, what if I do this, but then what if this happens, or what if this happens, or what if this happens, or what if this happens, and what if this happens? And so then it's like, okay, it's safer just to not do anything, and then I'm not making any mistakes because I'm not doing anything.
that need for control.
Yeah,
That's
it's
been that's
crazy.
been like I've been like that very a lot recently, like this need for control. I'm really trying to like I have released a lot since I was like in school, but even recently like I can still feel it like coming up and it's like sometimes I just have to tell myself like you're like you're thinking too much. Like and it's like it's about things that are so far ahead that I can't control but and like it's and it could be the most simplest decisions like oh like should I pay for this now or should I pay for it later but you're so scared of getting it wrong like you can't make a decision but it's just like look let's just focus like what's here what's in front of you and then also I noticed that sometimes like you like I don't know I sometimes like I've been deep in I think I'm addicted to stress like because I will
That's, that's a biological thing, right?
is it
Yeah. So if you're, it's to do with your cortisol levels. So if you've had, I don't look it up because I'm going to completely butcher this. But if you've if your body is used to a high amount of stress and you're constantly releasing cortisol, what happens is there's something hormonally that happens, but then when the danger has passed, your body doesn't know what to do anymore. So it keeps releasing cortisol, and then it keeps finding things to like,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
That's what it is. Like I'll be thinking about something, finally find a solution, then I find something else. And it's just like when am I allowed to breathe?
But also just give yourself some grace because I'm still dealing with this fat man. I'm 41, yeah. And you're what, 18,
19.
20, 19? And you're trying to get a hold on it at 19, and like here's me at 41 and I'm like still haven't got it yet. But maybe one day, inshallah, I will
Inshallah.
figure it out.
It's a learning curve.
Yeah,
100%.
it's really hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, hopefully we get there. But then that's also what makes it like that's part of you and like your journey, or like part of me, and like when I was in school, yeah, I feel like I was so uptight. Like everything had to be perfect. Nothing could be wrong with me. I had to get everything right. And like when I came out of school, I actually realized I feel like that's not even the way, like you have that gives you no substance or no story behind you, if that makes sense.
Mm,
And I felt
yeah,
like the moment I decided that, okay, you know what, I might actually just like take some risks and make some mistakes. Now I feel like there's more of a story to me, you know? Of course, that I'm still navigating and certain stuff, and I'm not here trying to say I'm gonna go out and do the most craziest things and make silly decisions. But in terms of taking risks and like if it goes this way, or if it goes that way, then it does. Do you know what I mean? And that's
yeah,
part of you. So like if I battle with anxiety, or if you do that, that's part of you, it's what makes it's one of the components that
yeah.
make us us basically.
One of the things when I first, because so I when I first went to therapy, it was because Antoinette went to me, you need to counselling, and if you don't go, I'm not speaking to you until you do. And that was what made me go to counselling. So I was like, no, I don't want you to not speak to me. And and actually, what I said to her was, I will, but at the moment, I feel like it hasn't scabbed over, and if I pick I'll bleed out. So I need to scab over before I go
Yeah.
cancelling. She's like, okay, fair enough. But anyway, one of the things I was terrified about, I was like, what if I go and then they completely fix me, and then I become really arrogant? And what if it changes my personality completely? What if I become this really obnoxious person that thinks that they're brilliant at everything and is like everybody hates? And they were like, and my friend was like, Sally, are you hearing yourself? And I was like, but you don't know. And she was like, but are you hearing yourself? So I don't think people that end up like that have those thoughts. And I'm like, but if they get rid of these thoughts, then what? Then I'm going to be really annoying. And so I was anxious. I was stressing out about going to therapy to potentially get over the fact that I'm anxious, because I was like, no, but that's what, if I don't have that, then people might not like me.
That is insane. That's not even like what's the job of the
It's
person?
so ridiculous.
That is so funny. No, but that happens though. But and you ended up going, so
Yeah.
there you go. You have it. But anyway, coming to the now, what do you feel like? What season of life do you feel like you're in right now? Like,
I don't know. Spring? That seems really weird. I feel like things are changing. Like things in my life are changing, and I
yeah,
feel like there's new things that are happening, and like I don't know. I really do feel like, I know this is going to sound really arrogant. I've just been saying, oh my God, what if I get rid of my anxiety and become really arrogant? But I genuinely do believe that God has my back, and I say that so often.
that's
And
not
then,
arrogant. That's not
okay,
even close to arrogant. That's not
but
arrogant.
that's what I feel like. I feel protected, and I feel really grateful for things, and I feel like there's lots of new opportunities happening. And so I know that I'm like entering into my 40s and all of that kind of stuff. So age wise, it's I'm not in the spring, because I guess that would be when you're younger. But like in terms of what's going on in my life, I feel like there's a lot of new things happening, and it's exciting. Like I feel like I'm entering an exciting time in my life, and that's really cool.
That is so cute. And what do you feel like? No, she's laughing. Wait. I was gonna say, what do you feel like you're still learning? Like, what do you feel like you're still
Oh my
navigating?
God. you're all learning. You don't ever stop learning.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely believe that. I think um, I'm still, if I'm being completely honest, I'm still learning to forgive myself when
Mhm.
I get things wrong. I find that really, really hard.
Mhm.
Um, I'm still learning to acknowledge the things that I've done well, if that makes sense. So
Mhm.
like something will happen, I'll achieve something, and I'm like, cool, next, what's next? And I don't allow myself to sit in the like, oh no, you did a really good job there. Or that was really successful. I'm just on to the next thing. Um, and so I think I'm still,
I feel
but
like that's
also,
common. That is very
yeah,
common. I think anyone listening to this definitely take something from it because that is people need to.
because it's so easy to dwell on the things that we haven't done or the things that we need to do or whatever. Um, one of the things I learned in therapy, in my many bouts of different versions of therapy, but one was changing should to could. So like instead of saying I should hoover, change my cupboard, make my dinners for the week, da, 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 and it's a chore,
Mm-hmm.
you change it to I could do that, and then it becomes an opportunity.
Oh, that is so.
And it's a bit like fluffy, but it actually does work. And I think having that like Mr. O always tells me, he's like, just remember to be grateful for the small things. And I do, but I'm grateful that he always tells me that,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. So it's like being grateful for the fact that, I don't know, I can't think of anything at the moment, but I don't ever get sick of seeing a sunset. I never get sick of looking at the moon.
How can you?
Like,
The
I
moon.
always just think it's amazing. Yeah,
Love the moon.
same.
I love the moon. Oh, sorry, you know what it is? The moon is like wow. It's you. Sorry, there was just one moment. There was a time where like I was just looking at the moon, yeah, in my room, and like the moon. The next day when I tried to look at the moon, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like you don't. And the moment was so nice, but I didn't. You just take it for granted. I'll never forget that moment. And it's like now every time I see the moon and I'm lying down in my bed and it's like bright in the sky, I cry.
Yeah, because it's amazing.
It's so
And it's like, that's nuts.
wow.
And so all of those things of like, you know, or like just really beautiful scenery. Where you go somewhere and you're like, oh my God, this is really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Or, yeah, just those little things where, or like just small things that just make you look like today, in the car, and Mr. O's son was like being naughty. And I was sat there with my hand over my mouth, just trying so hard not to laugh because it's just like, this is hilarious. Just
Yeah.
little moments like that where it pulls you out of your like all of the darkness. And I think there's more, I feel like I'm aware of more of that now in life, and that's why I feel like I'm in a spring, because it's like I'm very aware of the positive. I'm very aware of like the tiny little things that people think are insignificant but mean so much to me.
Yeah.
um yeah, just those little
Even
moments.
like with even just like health and stuff like that as well, because sometimes like we take so many like regular like normal mundane things for granted until you're sick. Like I might lose my voice
Yeah,
one day and I'm like, wow, what I would do to just speak normally again, or
yeah.
the throat is hurting, or like just being able to swallow and it not being pain. Like,
Do you know what we need to appreciate right now?
yeah,
I say that I'm going to tell Miss O this other. We can breathe out of both nostrils, because you know when you've got a blocked nose, do you know how annoying that is?
yeah,
Like you can
yeah.
breathe,
That's so true.
but like just literally like tiny little things like that. I'm like, okay, just let's just take a moment. We can all breathe out of our noses. Like, how cool is that? It means I can go to sleep and not have to worry about which side I'm lying on.
Yeah.
Great, amazing.
Alhamdulillah.
So yeah, I think I don't know what your question was, but yeah,
It was like in
I
this
think I
this phase of life. But yeah,
yeah,
you summed it up quite well. And what would you say womanhood looks like? And like what does it mean to you, for you personally?
womanhood. I don't know. I still feel it's really weird. I still forget that I'm an adult at times. That's important. I think
Yeah,
that's really, really important. And
yeah,
it goes back to what you're saying about adults thinking children are growing up too fast
yeah,
because adults don't let themselves be children. They don't let themselves have the excitement that children do. They don't let themselves play. They don't let themselves be ridiculous. They don't, and I'm a big believer in being ridiculous
yeah,
um,
100%.
at any given moment. And I think just because you're a certain age doesn't mean that you have to stop doing certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's what womanhood means is choice
Mm-hmm.
and creating your own version of that. And I was brought up with no gender constraints in my
Yeah,
household because my mum was like the one that was doing all the plastering in the building and the you know if I was learning how to do DIY, it was my mum teaching me. It was never my dad. And so those kind of things of like your gender shouldn't be limiting. It will limit you. Society will make it limit you, but don't let it limit yourself. Don't limit yourself because of your gender,
no,
because there's nothing that you can't do. Well, there's certain things, but like if if your physical body parts are not needed for it,
no,
then
no,
why you're not letting yourself?
we get the message.
But do you know what I mean? It's like, well, why not? But why can't you do that?
Yeah, 100%.
Says who?
100%. Okay, I have another section. This is like a cute little, it's a bit unserious, but it's called If I Were You.
Okay.
So it's basically the previous guest would have had a scenario or something, or like a scenario situation or something, and then it's just like you would share like how you would deal with the situation or advice that you have, and then you at the end leave another kind of like scenario or situation for the next guest. Yeah. So the situation I have for you is this says so the person's just like, let's say they've just left school and like entered a new era of their life. And they've been looking forward to making friends in like this new chapter, but they feel like they're not finding anybody. They feel like they only have like one, maybe just like one close friend, and then they're feeling rubbish about themselves. So if you were them, what would you do?
Do you want me to be realistic or do you want me to actually give advice?
Both, whatever, whatever.
Okay, realistically, I probably would just sit by myself at home and be like, no one likes me. Um, but but what I think you have to find the people that have the same energy as you, and that isn't and often isn't where you work,
Hmm.
particularly if you're not in a vocational job. Like teaching is a bit different because that's what I want to do now, or that's what I wanted to do for a while. And so there's other people that are in that profession that I'm going to find that are going to have similar vibe to me because we're in the same profession. But if you're working in like my first job was at Debenhams stacking shelves, like I'm not finding my vibes there because it's
Yeah.
just people that are working for money. So then what you've got to do is find what it is that you love doing and find people that love doing that. So if you love cooking, go to a cookery class and find other people that love cooking. If you love dancing, go to a dance class. If you love painting, go find a painting group. If you love sport, go and join a sports team. If you love music, join something. So find the thing that you love because that's where you'll find the people that are your kindred spirits that will be your tribe, and that those people are often not particularly in your first job because it's just, and particularly in any job where you're just doing a job because it's money.
Hmm.
And obviously everybody, that's why people work. It's like we have to have money.
Money.
But if you have the blessing of being able to do a job that you love and earn money from it, that's a different kettle of fish. But most people don't have that. So then you've got to find your people in the things that you love.
Hmm. Oh, that's actually really, because yeah, that's so true. I might actually take a leaf out of that book on myself, but also I don't really care. my,
No, but like
like,
I think it's really funny because when you're a child, you have hobbies because you're constantly
yeah,
told go to this club, go to this club, go to this, and then adults just don't. I do. I'm always getting in trouble for the amount of stuff that I do. But like, I know a lot of adults that just don't do any of those things anymore. And
Hmm.
it's like, well, how do you expect to make friends then?
Yeah, it's true.
Because
You definitely have to
they're
put
the,
it out there.
yeah,
100%. Even like me myself, because if it's not like work or like the course that I'm doing, I'm at home all the time. Like, I really do not like leaving my house. And sometimes I tell myself, okay, I need to start like doing this and doing that, but like, I just can't be bothered. But I
but
do,
that's a bit different. If you can't be bothered, it's a bit different to if you feel like you're lonely. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
if you're happy in your isolation, then there's no problem with that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%. Okay, great. Thank you. And then now you need to leave a situation for the next guest.
Uh, okay, my scenario is you have got to deliver a presentation
Hmm.
on something to a group of people, and you get really anxious public speaking. Is that okay? Is that
Yeah.
enough of a
Okay.
scenario?
So,
So, like in a week, you've got to do a presentation to a group of people, but you know that you don't like public speaking. So, what are you going to do?
yeah, okay. So if they were you, what would they do? Okay. Okay, perfect. And then that's for next week's one. I'm looking forward to hearing their answer. I low-key have an answer in my head, but I'm not
I
gonna.
hate public speaking so much.
Yeah, I remember you didn't like when I was in school, you didn't like speaking.
No, still don't like it. Hate it.
You know what's crazy? I feel like I prefer to speak at like public speaking where there's like hella people than to speak in a more like intimate space. And
Yeah,
also, it's worse when I have to talk about myself.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have to talk about myself in like a small kind of group of people, I forget about it. But if it's like public, I feel like I can do that a lot better. I don't know, it's really weird.
It depends on the audience. I'm fine. Like, if you put me in a room of, for like the whole school, but it was just the students, not a problem. But you
Yeah,
put 20 teachers in there, and I'm like, I'm okay, thanks.
yeah, okay, yeah, I get what you mean. No, I understand that. I understand now.
Or if you put my mum in there, oh my God, then I'm like, nope, no, no, no.
Why? It's your mom.
I don't know. I've always been. This is what I mean about when I said ages ago I had selective mutism. When I was a child, and I learned how to read, and my teacher would send me home, and she'd be like, "You have to read aloud to your parents." And my mum would sit with me in the dining room, and I would just refuse. I'd just sit there, and she'd be like, "You need to read aloud," and I'd be like, "Hmm." And I just physically couldn't read aloud to my mum,
Oh my
and so in the
God.
end, she just gave up. But at school, I put my hand up and read all day, every day. But to my mum, I just couldn't do it.
Is it like fear? Like,
Yeah, like real extreme anxiety for no reason. And it'd feel like I had a lump in my throat and I just couldn't physically get the words out.
no way. Your mom is like, no, because you know it is. Your mom is not to be played with as well, though. She is
It's so
serious.
true. She
She's
is. She's
serious.
serious.
She's serious. Oh, I love that. Shout out Mrs. Favorite, man. Yeah, so like, again, kind of like going back to like the girls' club stuff because you being Miss Pro, but of course, like you did a lot for us as like girls in starting like girls' club and just doing a lot of work with like young women and like influencing us, even like holding the wow event and stuff, bringing
Mm,
us to the actual event and then like making our own one. So I know like you have a lot of, what's the word, like I would say insight or like understanding of like young girls. And from like what you've done and your experience, would you feel like most young girls or young women struggle with like the most internally?
comparison and competing. Those are the two things that I think is so sad that y we don't realize that we're doing it because we've been so gaslit by society to do it. And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And you have to be aware that it happens to stop yourself doing it. So I think that's the big thing for me is
Would you
you
feel
know that she's not your competition, that kind of thing.
would you feel like causes that though?
Um, the systemic patriarchal society that we live in with entrenched misogyny.
That was so heavy. Oh my days.
No, but it's true. It's that whole thing of like that there's only ever space for one. There's only ever space for one woman in that room, or there's only ever space for that person. You can only you can be a person of color, but we're only having one of them. So
Yeah.
then you've got to compete with it, and it's like it's nonsense. There's enough space for everyone. We live in capitalism makes us believe that there isn't enough for everybody, and that if we share too much, the resources are going to run out. And the reality is that's not true.
Hmm. I also feel like, I don't know, I feel like from a young age, yeah, I don't know how, but like even in the media in school, there's like this certain level of power that guys have in terms of like in terms of dominating. I feel like when you reach like secondary, right? That's the age where like hormones are like coming in, and like you start gaining attraction to like the opposite sex. So obviously, like naturally, you're gonna want to impress the other, whatnot and whatnot. But then it gets to a point where it's like I feel like girls would either like compare or like put other girls down because of how guys were so free to like say or do whatever they want. Like you see how guys like take up majority of the playground. Like they're so ruthless, especially in like secondary school, and they will say things to go at girls and stuff. I remember being in school. I remember when I was in secondary school. For a while, like I actually wished that I was a boy. I thought that it would be so much more easier to be a boy. I don't feel like that now at all. But not even close. But at the time, I just thought like they had it so much more easier because it was like, first of all, boys would feel free to say whatever it is that they like to girls. They would say something, they'll cuss a girl out, and then their boy would also back them and defend them in whatever it is they're saying. Whereas like girls, if and then when they said that to a girl, the other girl wouldn't defend because they're scared that
Yeah,
defend, they're gonna now get onto them.
yeah,
And then like it just becomes like, I don't know, you end up in fear but also living for them and also wanting their like validation, and then you find yourself naturally comparing like to the things that are glamorized, or the things that, if they're saying this about this girl, then I don't want to have that trait, so I'm going to make myself this way. And
yeah.
it's like, I don't know. And that's why I just felt like, I remember one time, like, speaking to my brother, I was like, you guys have it so easy. He's like, why do you say that? And I'm just like, because that's just, but then again, that was just in school. But like, yeah, it was just like they had that element of power that I feel like then affects girls. And it's just like, they now feel like they need to impress these guys, or like, I don't know,
Yeah.
they're the judgment or da 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 in society. I don't know how to articulate.
No, but it's true. There's a level of like, it doesn't matter. I think I said this to you guys when you were in my form. It doesn't matter how I did, because I remember it was Alicia and Shake were messing around and she accidentally hit him. Um, and I remember saying something about like, it doesn't matter how strong you are as a woman, a fully grown man is always going to be able to overpower you physically.
Mm,
Like that's it, as much as that frustrates me, as much as I don't want that to be true,
yeah,
that is fact. And so there are things that we subconsciously have to do to be safe
yeah,
because it is not safe.
mm,
And so all of those things of like keeping your mouth shut, don't back up your friend, all of those kind of things, they're all subconscious things that we've learned from society to keep ourselves safe.
yeah,
And you can't blame women for that. But equally, the more aware we are that that happens, the more hopefully we can undo it.
yeah.
Because yeah, it's really hard because you want to protect yourself, but
Interesting.
at what like when when does that go too far that you're stepping into dangerous territory where you're not making a fuss but you need to make a fuss. I think more women and more girls need to make more of a fuss.
Oh my days, it's crazy because I was literally saying this to someone the other day, and I was literally saying how like as women we're so we don't want to speak up or like even be direct. I said, and I say one thing that I have learned from men, like there's this one guy in my work, is asking for what you want and being a lot more direct. And
Yeah,
I feel like men aren't afraid to do that. And I feel like that's why things like, even like, if we was to ask for more, maybe there'll be a better chance of us getting paid more if we just demanded it. Do you know what I mean? Because
yeah,
like I will watch, there was a guy and he was sending an email, and I just watched how he typed the email. It wasn't rude, but it was so direct. And I was looked at him and I was like, wow, like you didn't, he was like, look, like we see this is work. You can't like, yes, you can be respectful, but you can't just beat around the bush. Da, 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 da. At the end of the day, like, because I think it was something to do with like his money and how much he was getting paid or something like that. And he's like, you can't like play around with these kind of things. Like, you need to be straight. I said, wow, like, and if we could just take that out of and learn from that, I feel like that would be so much more different. Like, just ask or like be, do you know what I mean? Like, just
yeah. Don't prep it. It's like things like in meetings going, oh, sorry, I wasn't sure if women do a lot of, I can't remember what the term is, it's a sociological thing, but it's like apologizing before you speak
hmm
or presenting an idea as like, oh, I'm not 100%. You know 100% this is what you need to do, but you have to say, well, maybe we could. And it's like, it's again, it's to do with protection. It's to do with you don't want to rock the boat. And some people have very fragile egos. And so then what you do is you present the idea as like a suggestion or as an apology or like people that there's a whole thing about you can say no and not give a reason.
yeah,
Women feel like we can't say no and not justify it. So someone says, "Can you do this?" and then you can just say no.
yeah,
But we've been trained to go, "Oh, I'm not sure because maybe," and then give this whole backstory. No, just say no.
yeah, 100%. That's why I love like there's a lot of women now that I'm seeing like just empowering women who are able to like, like step into that like fierce kind of learning how to be unapologetic about that, if you know what I mean. And like that's definitely, I think of course everything is in like moderation. There's a time and a place for everything. And
Yeah, you don't have to be rude.
yeah, 100%. And it's definitely something that I aspire to like to get to a point where it's just like, because I feel like that's so freeing as well. It's a bit like tiring. Even things like, oh, I just wanted to say, it's like, no, let's just be that. Let's just be direct. Like this is what I want to say. Let's just cut to the chase. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it would just be a lot more, a lot more different for us. And I think it is. I think like in online, I'm starting to see more of it and more people being influenced by it. But then again, of course, you get people who, like you said, ego. There's people whose ego it does rattle. But listen, women are powerful. We just need to stop letting outside sources like
Drain
the
our power.
yeah, literally. I think even when it comes to things like for me personally, like even when it comes to things like with the patriarchy and stuff, I refuse to let that be a reason for me to sit here and say like, okay, I'm not gonna try this or I'm not gonna do this or I'm not gonna. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like
100%.
those fine. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say it doesn't exist. I think it definitely does, but I don't think we should ever use that as something for us to sit here and be like, we
I
can't.
can't.
We can't.
Yeah.
We can, and there's trailblazers. There's women who have done things before us, and who's to say that you can't be that person too, to be the first woman who's done this, and then like be a breakthrough for others to come through. And I think time and time again we're seeing it day in day out with social media. I think that's one of the good things about it is that like you can be influenced and you can see all these people around. So I just really hope that like a lot of girls don't feel like, oh, well, I don't want to go into this industry because, it's really male dominated or like, da 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 da. Like, you can, you
Yeah.
know?
If you get in it and then you hate it, that's your business. That's one thing. But don't, no, but do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
don't stop yourself because you think that you don't deserve to be there.
yeah, 100%. Or or even like feel like you need to change yourself as well.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes, like, I think I was having this conversation, I can't remember who with, but I was saying, like, with society and like where we've got to, I think like there's become a stage where sometimes I think people get some things misinterpreted in terms of, I don't know if it's feminism or what it is, when when it comes to like trying to prove certain things,
Yeah.
it's like when you, like, for example, let's say it comes to a job, right? You want to be a lawyer and like you're a woman and like, let's say corporate, and you feel like you need to change yourself or like show that, okay, I'm a woman, but I don't really want to have kids or I don't really want to do this and yada, yada, yada to get that job. And I feel like you can, what was I trying to say? I feel like if you want to go for a job, yeah, and you want to have kids and you want to do whatever it is, you're gonna go to that job and they're gonna employ you, or they should employ you because you're a goddamn good lawyer, not
Yeah.
because other traits that you feel like you need to die down. And if they're gonna sit here and they're not gonna employ you, then shame on them because they're losing out. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel
100%.
I don't feel like in any way you should play down any things that you feel like they're seen as undesirable. If you know like you're a sick lawyer, then you're a sick lawyer, and like you're gonna go to someone who's gonna pay you what you deserve, you know? Because I feel like that's what men are like. You know, if
100%.
if it's like you're not gonna pay me this, then I'm not gonna do it.
Did you not know the whole thing about there's a statistic, I don't know the actual ins and outs, you might want to look it up, but it's like when a man applies for a job, if there's 10 criteria, if they can do 5 of the criteria, they'll apply for the job and think they deserve to get it. And for women, if they can't do all 10, they won't even apply.
No way. Is that actually?
Yeah.
That is crazy. I didn't know. I knew it was common. I didn't know it was that. Like,
It's that thing of like have the same confidence in yourself as a mediocre man in business does in their self.
100%, 100%. Because 9 times out of 10, you have more, like, not even more, but you like
You bring
maybe
more
more
people.
value. You might
Yeah.
actually bring more value than the next person. But I think it's definitely also like how you sell yourself and how you believe that belief that you have, like, you know. And I feel like
Yeah.
we need to stop doubting, or like
Second
it
guessing.
goes back to asking for more and demanding more, basically, to what I was saying.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you for making me blush.
It's so it's so mad. It's like, oh, I remember when I had to tell you off in year 7.
When did you have to? When I was speaking to Alicia that one time.
Yeah, yeah, that one time. And I was like, what happened? And you were like, she's really bit. And then I was like, oh, okay, I've told the wrong person
I
here.
will never forget that day. That was so. I know it's so funny because I was so heated. I remember just like we was actually like that was so funny.
You were right, though. What you were saying was right.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
I don't know what it was about either. I just remember that you were right and I should have
I,
had a go at
I
her.
remember it was something like someone was saying something about her, and she was so wound up about them saying something about her, and I was like, why do you even care if it's not true? I
Yeah.
think that's what it was. I was like, it's not true. It's like it doesn't matter. Like, 'cause she was like, she was going back and forth with the person. I was like, it's not true. You know, like I always say it to my sisters and stuff. I say, you know what, like, you know when like certain people try and like cuss you out or like
Oh,
say
the
something.
amount of stuff that's been made up about me over my life. And I'm like, I wish my life was as interesting as you've just made it out to be. It really isn't. But you carry on.
People like to like use other people as scapegoats for
Yeah.
like their own life. Um. Anyway, let's wrap this up because it's been a while. The last thing that I just want to ask you for is if so in every episode I want to end with a message to all the girls out there. So if you could leave the girls out there with one message today, what would that message be? Hey guys, before Miss gets her message for all you girls out there today, I completely forgot to ask her for her handle and where you can find her and stuff. So in the description, you will find her LinkedIn. I'll put it there. You can see all the amazing things she's doing. She's also got an amazing business with her and her friend, which they've started up. They host events for women and stuff. So I'll leave that website down below, and that's where you can find her and support her because she's doing amazing, amazing things. Now let's get back to her message.
That feels like a lot of pressure. Women are not your competitors.
So, okay. 100%. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
Love. Why were you waiting for my confirmation?
No, I was just like, there is a caveat, but that's probably not for the episode. That's just for, I mean, obviously some women are, because some women are not very nice. But
Yeah, but they're
in
not.
general,
They're not worth your time.
yeah, exactly. So they're still not your competitors. You're right, because they're not worth your energy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Miss. It's actually been such a fun conversation as well.
Yeah, it's been really good. Thank you.
Really nice. Thank you so much. Thanks guys for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.